Yeah, it is nice to get a chance to come here, and actually, when you really, listen to, the part of George conversation, and you have to get excited about this region. It's been a long time coming, and we'll go through some stuff. Maybe you see what's been happening in Timmins, or even what's been happening with these mines over the years. Everybody's kind of willing to close up and move away, where in fact we're in one of the best geological regions in the world. I mean, Timmins Porcupine Gold Camp, one of the largest, basically elephant gold deposit, and you can see by some of the stuff we put out, there's still a significant amount of gold left in the ground here to be mined. But you're also in a region where the Kidd Creek deposit, one of the largest base metal deposits in the world. You go 285 kilometers to the south of us, you got Sudbury. So, and I don't mean to take away from people's talk about the Ring of Fire, but there's a lot of fire going on right here. I don't know if it's a ring, but it's multiple rings here. So. And a few years back, actually, somebody talked to me about, is mining sexy? And maybe I started to think about it, and in terms of what we do, and in terms of attracting people. Just think about it. If you come in to work in our industry, not only do you get to live in good places, and especially with Porcupine, get to live in this region in northeastern Ontario with all the everything you got to do, but you get to be people. We have lawyers, we have accountants, we have environmental people, we have biologists, we have. Yeah, you can drive a truck, and you can run a drill, and you can be a mechanic, you can be a millwright, you get to do a lot of really good things. So it's a very sexy industry, and there's a lot of really exciting things to do in our industry. And I'll go through in terms of what we've been able to, or what the idea is here, and like the fact that we can take Timmins and these Porcupine gold assets and turn them back into what is a tier one recognized in the world. And what is tier one? Well, tier one is at least 500,000 ounces a year for 10 years at the lower half of the cost base. I think we can even do better than that, and we even have aspirations for much larger than that. But we do have forward-looking statements. We do we do have shareholders, and we have people that buy stock, and so you have to look. And I am giving you ideas and thoughts and things of what you want to do and what the vision might be. But I talked to some people, and maybe in terms of Porcupine, and I talked to maybe people didn't really understand. These have been in large companies for a long time, and the assets have been sort of consolidated, so nobody really knows what you have here. But we, in a nutshell, and if you just look at just the beginning of what we picked up, besides this huge land package with a lot of exploration, but I was talking to, I was able to get Eric Callio to come back and get him excited again, his third time out of retirement. But in terms of the ability to discover new resources, and imagine discovering new resources in a 100-year-old gold mining camp. But we have that. But on top of that, though, we have two producing mines. We have a central mill facility at the Dome, and we have a new mine being developed in terms of the Pamour. So we did come up with a technical report, gave us a base study of producing 285,000 ounces of gold over the next 10 years, over the next 10 years. But that's just the base of what we plan to do. Maybe just a couple of things here on the community, and in terms of everybody talks about mining and around the world, and everybody talks about how mines aren't bad, or there's talk about trying to accelerate development of mines. Well, if it takes 10 or 20 years to get mines permitted and get it moved forward, I mean, if we can just do it in 5 to 10 years, isn't that like accelerating? It's not like nobody wants to do nothing wrong. It's just that we need to be able to get things done in a more progressive fashion. But if you look at what the Porcupine assets have done, and if just look at last year, and this under Newmont, but there was $355 million of spending here, 1,400 employees working, and in terms of local procurement, over $280 million right into northeastern Ontario. significant contribution in terms of First Nations partnerships, and a significant investment in the community. Actually, I'll show you some stuff a little later on our technical report going forward that gives you a sense of even a sense of how much contribution this can bring into the region. But maybe I got this slide here. We want to acknowledge we do have our First Nation partnerships, and we're really proud to be able to work with the group. And, we talked about in terms of what's in Porcupine itself, and Matachewan, Matagami, Apatibi, they changed the name of Anishinaabeg. I hope I pronounced that correctly, right? And Flying Post, as well as over at Borden Mine, which is out by Chapleau, Michipicoten, Chapleau, Ojibwe, and Bunchuk House, and the Chapleau Cree. So we have a solid base. We working with the communities. We have a lot of respect and acknowledgement in terms of what we've done, and we look forward to continued another 50 or 100 years of a partnership, and maybe a new more open partnership that we can work forward and can create in the end create prosperity and wellness for people for a much longer time. And I mentioned about our goal really is to reestablish the Porcupine operations as a top tier asset. And people might, I say that, and some people might question that. And as a matter of fact, when we went through this with Newmont, and we looked at, Newmont was selling all their mines in Canada. They had Musselwhite, Eleanor, Porcupine. They had the Coffee Project in Yukon. They had the Cripple Creek over in Colorado. And it'd have people approach, and even Newmont talked to me about, you want to go for the package. And they did look and say, what, in the end, I'd rather really just focus on Porcupine, because all the other ones, first off, they're all good operations, whether Eleanor and Musselwhite. If you're successful there, you probably have a 200 to 250 to 300,000 ounce a year mine for 20 years, right? At those, but in Porcupine, we take this from a 285,000 ounce a year mine to potentially a 500,000 to 1 million ounce a year mine for 50 years, and that's sort of what the difference is, right? And if it's a question like in terms of Franco-Nevada, the partnership with Franco-Nevada, they came in strong and they're very supportive, and they paid up to be a partner here and to really get support what we're trying to do. So if you look at them, it's not like we work with the very, very good people, and there was a lot of rigor put into this to come up with this. So it's not like we have a vision and we're just talking from the seat of our pants. Anyway, just as, again, besides that, I talk about the exploration upside, which is here. We have Dome. We just go and I'll show you some pictures of Dome. There's 11 million ounce resource just near surface sitting at Dome. There's been talk of other companies talking about the Century Project. Nobody wanted to move it forward. Hoyle Pond, you got the TVZ zone, a very large zone. And it's the metallurgy is a little different. And just because the metallurgy is different in the region, nobody wants to touch it. But if we get this metallurgy fixed in northeastern Ontario, which is effectively the same type of metallurgy that we on when we Kirkland go and we operate the Fosterville operation in Australia, or if you go to Red Lake, they have autoclaves in Red Lake. You go to Nevada, it's all refractory mineralization. Why in northeastern Ontario we ignore all this mineralization is beyond me, but there's a significant opportunity there as well, and I can do a lot of arm waving. There's Hollinger McIntyre, and I know we're sitting here on one of the largest gold deposits in the world, and there's a significant amount of ounces sitting right below our feet here at some point in time. You have to look at it and say there's a lot more life in Timmins, and you got Paymaster, and you got, we don't have it on here, but you have this whole honor Delnite. All these things have been, everybody stopped exploring here in the 60s and the 70s. Nobody's really looked at these things over the last while. This is on the technical report, and this is the base case of what we presented using what we had from Newmont. I guess the upside here, and we talk about investing in exploration, the upside here is we expect to extend mine life at Borden and Hoyle Pond. We expect to add production from the other zones coming up, and they did mention like TVZ and Dome and some other aspects to really help in terms of not only and growing production. And by the way, in a technical report we filed for here, it says that we're going to pay to the provincial, federal, and municipal taxes over this period of time, over $3.4 billion US. So, do we need mining? Yes. I mean, this is over $150 million a year, not including payroll taxes and prosperity, not including all the goods and services, not including anything else that goes on, that other wealth that gets back into the community to help support things that we need for infrastructure and things that we know that George talks about in terms of roads and ports and rail lines and better transportation systems and better hospitals that people need in Northern Ontario in order to attract people. So, do we need this? Yes, I think it's really good. Anyway, I have to always sometimes slow myself down because I can get pretty excited about what the opportunity here in terms of what we have. But, in terms of what we're going to do in terms of investing in the operations, we talked about investing in Hoyle Pond, Borden, and Pamour to increase production. And, part of that's with drilling, part of that with investment in infrastructure. We talk about investing in Hoyle Pond and the Dome, the TVZ zone and Dome, in terms of bringing in some new mines and what can happen there. Imagine we got the opportunity to build 2 new mines in Timmins. Well, we're building Pamour right now. We can build 2 more new mines in Timmins, gold mines in Timmins, in the next 3 to 4 years. That'd be significant world-class gold mines in a camp that somebody thought was all mined out. And then, with the exploration activities and investment in exploration, we think that we can grow a lot of value here. And, on the exploration side, if I go back to when we started Lakeshore, we spent over $50 million a year for 5 years with Lakeshore. Back in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, we found 7 million ounce gold deposits in Timmins. So, and we were just on the outskirts of the camp. Imagine now we're inside. We've got the opportunity now to be right in the middle of the camp now. And imagine where we can find if we put the money to work in terms of at all these sites. So this is just, quickly a picture of Hoyle Pond. I can, that's what Hoyle Pond looks like on surface. Just give you a sense on, here's Hoyle Pond underground where, there's the purple is the TVZ zone. You can see the other targets that are sitting in here that are for exploration potential. A lot of significant areas, and some of it you just have to decide we're going to mine narrower, bring back more conventional mining methods. We can increase production. You can see some other new zones that targets that can be opened up. But this slide here tells you a lot. So this here is the traditional Hoyle Pond mine. This is what was the 1060. Look at that. They got to the bottom of it, ran out of ore, drilled a few holes, and everybody just walked away, and nobody looked deeper here. All this stuff here, nobody been drilled. There's a lot of drill intercepts. Nobody went after it. There's significant potential here at Hoyle Pond as you go this way. It's easy to follow the main structure down at depth. Imagine if we start drilling over here. This is over at Borden. Borden's actually a fairly new mine. It really only started development in 2014, 15. Really brought in production 2019. It's in its own greenstone belt. You have a large land package here. Probably only 10% of it has been explored. And there's significant drill targets at Borden, significant extension potential here, and even if you lower the cutoff grade, because we get the cost down, you're going to add a lot more ounces right within the existing workings. And then you have the Pamour pit. I got a slide here of the Pamour pit, but I apologize. It's not very active. I know the guys are working a lot harder than what's shown in this picture, so I won't show it too much. But this is where the Pamour pit sits. And right now, it's going to run sort of along this area here. There's a rail line that runs here, and there's potential that to be extended as you can go to the west. So here, sorry, I'll go do it again. This is the Pamour pit. Rail line, there's potential that it can go all the way over here, double the size of the time of the pit. But that's not really the exciting part. I'll show you some of the other things about Pamour. that, you know, as we get to look at what is from underground, and maybe this slide doesn't show everything, but this is Pamour. If I go right over here, this is the Hallnor mine, which was the highest grade gold mine in Timmins, went down 5,000 feet. The Hoyle Pond mine's in the off section, sitting about right here. One of the highest grade gold mines in Timmins, down 1,700 meters. No drilling, right? No drilling, right? So what's the potential there? You know, you got mining companies. We're not scared to mine underground. We're also not scared to mine open pits, right? So you can do things. And then, you know, we have the processing facilities. We have the dome mine and the central mill. But look at, this is dome. The green here is showing the current mined out areas. These are drill intercepts, right? And you recognize this mine close at a different stage. We talk about 11 million ounce resource at Dome here. Sorry, this is a potential new open pit here. I'll try to turn this off. You know and if you see that this is this 11 million ounce. Sorry. This is this 11 million ounce pit here, but look what else is here, right? So there's still a lot of life in Timmins. I can say for gold mining, still a lot of things to do. You just got to want to do the work and look a little bit harder. Maybe a lot of the easy stuff's gone from the past, and you know, but we're sitting at, as George talked about, not $3,500 gold, $4,500 to $5,000 gold. We're in the right environment where we can explore, we can develop, and we can set things up to create a lot of prosperity in Timmins. And you know, part of us, you know, in order to be able to continue to operate in Timmins, I mean, we recognize that, you know, we live here too. We're from here too. This is as much our home as everybody else's, and you know, from a sustainability and stewardship, it's important in terms of what we do in terms of how we operate the mines, and how we do progressive rehabilitation, how we look after the land that's around us. And you know we do have a significant closure liabilities and obligations that came with these sites. We're not going to wait till you know, for 50 more years to start working on cleaning up some of these things. We intend to do progressive rehabilitation as we go. If we look at some of the track record, and this is the track over the last few years with Discovery, and a big part of why Newmont, when they were looking for partners or somebody to come here. If you look at what Discovery, so we have the project in Mexico, and you know, I haven't really talked much about Mexico, which is a tier one, one of the largest silver mines in the world once it's built. But if you look at the distinctions that we've received over the last 2 and 3 years in Mexico, I mean, we're the only mining company in all of Mexico to receive this award. We've received these awards year after year. Great place to work, you know. So we know how to do stuff. We have a track record in the past, not only when we worked in previous company, but even we brought it over, and you can see it's continued on with Discovery. And it doesn't matter if I work in Timmins, it doesn't matter if I work in Kirkland Lake, it doesn't matter if we work in Fosterville in Australia, or Northern Ontario, Australia, or in Mexico. We have the same high standards of how we want to deal with people, how we deal with land, how we deal with local communities, how we deal with our, you know, the traditional peoples, if you're talking about in Australia, or the Indigenous communities in Canada. We have a high sense of respect, because in the end, you know, what the difference with mining companies is, we're here for a long time. We're here. We're permanent. We're setting down roots. We plan to be here 50 or 100 years. We plan to see communities grow, and we plan to be there. And it's all things we have to do to make sure that we can prosper. We're not here for 2 or 3 years to make a name for ourselves and then move on someplace else. Yeah, we can, you know, we can see what happens in living in, it's nice, sometimes some people might think it's nice to live in Toronto, or nice to live in all California, or all the parts of the world. I can tell you, my wife and I, we've been all over the world. We've time again, you sit to say, oh, can we want to move here? Can we do this? And say time again, we say, what's wrong with where we're from, right? And there's nothing wrong with Timmins. So, you know, there's a great opportunity to do a lot of good things. We do have a lot of ambition, right? And you know, in terms of what we're trying to grow. So, you know, maybe I'll leave it at that and I'll let somebody ask some questions. Sorry about that.